Okay. I decided at the last minute to try to do a live today. There's been a lot of stuff going on, and I'm still having computer issues, but it looks like for the most part I've got it fixed. At least it's not fixed the way it should be, but it's fixed well enough that I can do some videos and possibly do lives. I had wanted to be able to edit the lives, but it doesn't matter. It's working, and that's what matters. So I thought I'd go live today. I don't know if anybody is around. I'm going to just play until I see somebody pop on. I needed to do another. I'm still a couple of days behind in my daily doodles. So I'm going to do another doodle here while I see if anybody's popped in. I was behind on getting the videos in there for that, but I think I've got making videos figured out. They may not be the best, but at least I've made a few. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know. It seems to be a conflict. You know, you buy a computer that you think is the better of the things, and then you have conflict with software that you thought worked perfectly. So, hi, whoever's there. I'm just going to do a little bit of everything today. I'm doing an extra doodle because I'm still a couple of days behind everyone on the 100-day challenge. So I thought I'd do a little extra doodle here. Oh, it looks like I've left the chat funny too. Let's see if I can fix that. There we go. Whoever's there, hi. Anyways, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to play in my art journals, and I sort of left the description alone until I get done, and then I'll see what all I end up doing. So I think I'm only 2 days behind now as far as the 100-day project goes. So oh, there's 2 people watching now. So anyways, I'm just doodling here. Like I said, I thought I'd work on my, well, I'll probably glue some stuff in my glue book. I do that all the time. Anytime I sit down, I try to glue a little. If you haven't watched my 100 Days project, this is a traveler's notebook insert that I made out of mixed media paper, and these are Stampin' Up! Markers. They're just water-based dye markers. They have a nice brush tip, so they They work real well on this. I made the traveler's notebook insert out of mixed media paper. So, and this is an sort of impromptu live because I did not know what I was gonna do it. We've had to take Jeff's car in a couple of times this week, and it's just been one of those weeks. The technology issues I've had, all kinds of things that have been going on. It's just been hard to plan anything. And he's got a migraine of all things this afternoon, so he's in the other room just kind of crashing. It's hot here, so his going outside when he has a headache is he doesn't do. So I may have to have him put the door back on my studio if I continue to try to make videos and during the day. Oops, wrong tip. I don't think I've used these markers, but this is the most I've ever used them is for this Doodle project, for this 100 days project. If you're not doing some kind of making, some kind of art, making something, just doing something every day for 100 days. And it doesn't have to be a big something. I know that there's a couple people that have chosen to do art journal pages, one every day for 100 days. Well, it takes me weeks to get an art journal page done, I swear. So I was behind when I started because I didn't find out about the project until a little bit after it had gotten started. So when I started out, I chose to do something that I thought I could do in about 15 minutes. And doing a doodle every day seemed to be a good idea, and it has worked. It's real. I've really enjoyed it. It's sort of a jumping off point. It just kind of gets your art juices going. So and I never thought I would like coloring. I did not like to color as a child. So the fact that this is a lot of coloring. I'm kind of thinking I might enjoy it if I was using a marker. I do not like crayons. I never have liked crayons. I'm seriously thinking about extending this project and doing another 100 days after the first 100 days ends with similar idea, doing the same kind of thing, doodles, but I have watercolor pencils, and if you did that, you could do a lot of shading, I think. And I've never played with them enough to really know how well they work, so well, everybody's gone again, so I guess I'll just continue to work until somebody pops in. I need to figure out how to announce that I'm going to go live. I was just glad I figured out how to make the camera and stuff work again. I do not know what's wrong with the software. I've changed 500 million settings, and I've actually uninstalled it twice and reinstalled it again so that to try to make it work. So I just don't know. So I think these leaves kind of look like flames. I'm kind of excited in that my subby giveaway has gotten a few more people thanks to the Mary Altieri and ZC Creations. Um, both of them have uh, sort of given me a shout out on their channels, and I actually have a few postcards that I'm expecting to come in. So I'm real excited about that because I was real, I don't know, I'm excited that, and I just went over 400 subbies, and that's awesome. But nobody was really seemed to be interested in my giveaway. So I don't know who's here, but hello to whoever you are that's watching. Uh, the chat's open. At least I hope it's working. I'm just doing this and that this afternoon. I'm going to do some glue book stuff. I was making franken paper for a customer, so I have all these little leftover pieces, so I'm going to put down a page of that. Then I'm going to work in my art journals. It's just, I try to do, like I said, a little of this and a little of that and try to go on to the next thing. This is, I don't know, different people call them different things. This is my, it's, some people call it a desk journal where you put down just whatever happens along. And I try to work a page in the back and a page in the front. And it's getting nice and chunky, which I really like. I did choose to use a composition book. I thought I'd give it one more try using a composition book because in the past I've done a couple things. I just uploaded a video about doing Shannon Green's journaling by fives, and in that I did not like the composition book for what I was doing. But I've approached this one a little differently, and I am not doubling up the pages, and actually I'm kind of liking it, and I was surprised at how strong these pages are. the for all the wet that has been, and I do try to let it dry in between, but it's it's still holding up real well, and it's getting kind of fat. So that's kind of surprised me. And I'm just using a watered down Mod Podge to as glue. I put about 1.5 cups in this container, and then I put 3 or 4 tablespoons of water into it. So and like I just, when my scrap box fills up, I start putting stuff in here. I use it to scrape paint off if I'm painting something. Just whatever happens to come along. And my plan is to, after I fill up all the pages that way, sort of, is to go back in and actually art journal in it. So we'll see. Maybe it will never be anything more than this. I do enjoy gluing papers. I have no idea why. I'm not really into coloring, but boy, do I like to glue stuff down. So I kind of find that fun. Where did that Subbies go? And I imagine these things could have been used for another project, but I have a lot of them, so that's all right. I have a lot of scrapbook papers. Oh dear. So the scrapbook paper that I have is it's not real special to me or anything. So when I use it, I just go ahead and put the pieces in. But they would work real well on tags or anything else. And I may work on some tags later. That's a good idea. So oops. I'm still hunting a good time to stream. So today happened to be just, I had the time and I could, and it was quiet enough. With Jeff having a headache, I have to be quiet anyways, so. It's usually about him being quiet. I usually have to kind of work around it. He's still working on the house, so things can get noisy. He said, "Oh, you mean I can't take the bathroom apart today?" And I'm like, "No," but he had a migraine anyway, so it really wasn't going to happen. Oh. Oops. Like I said, I was real surprised at how, okay, you can just go on top of the other one. I don't care. I was real surprised at how well these pages held up. To all this wet. We'll see what happens when I paint over it. But so far, it doesn't seem to matter what I do to it. It seems to be holding up very well. So, and like I said, if it doesn't hold up, it's not a big deal. It's just a little. It's supposed to be fun, right? So, I am thinking about doing an altered book. I've had one in my head for a while. It's just a matter of figuring out exactly what I'm going to do. And when I do that, I'll be doing actual videos, not lives for that. So if anybody has it, if you have any suggestions as to what you might like to see me make videos of, please make sure you comment about it, because I just, I have a list of things, but I don't know what other people would enjoy. Huh. Cover's coming off of that. I'll have to check that out later. So, oh. This is one of my art journals. If you haven't watched me before, I tend to work in several books at a time because I don't like to use the heat tool to dry things. So right now I have 3 of these that I'm working on pages in. So I have worked out some things I wanted to do on here today. So that looks kind of glary. I hope it's not too bright. Anyways, we'll put this stuff aside. And you get to watch me cut a few things out because I did not cut them out ahead of time. This mermaid is going to have wings like a flying fairy. Can't talk. So I think I'm going to cut out about this much. Let's see. Oh, that's a little too much, maybe. All right. Yeah, there we go. I wonder. I'm going to play with the camera settings for a second, guys. Hold on. I don't know, but I think that might be better. I'm hoping so. Anyway, so I'm going to cut this out. So you get to watch me fussy cut this, which I'm sure is about as interesting as watching paint dry. And yes, I'm using sewing scissors. These are little Fiskar sewing scissors, and I bought them specifically for paper. And if I had my druthers, I'd have a pair of Gingers specifically for paper, but they're a little pricey to buy to cut paper. So, okay. I don't know exactly where she's going to go yet. I have to do something with this screaming lady one of these days. But today I just wanted the title off of this one. Okay. And as far as making a plan for doing a page, I just kind of go through my little pieces of paper and see what I have, lay it out. And I'm not sure I'm going to use this unlock. But we'll cut it out because then we can look at it. So, and I'm cutting out individual words because I don't. And I'm cutting out individual words because I don't want to put it in a straight line across there. I want to have it. I think the of and your I'm going to leave together, but. Okay. I don't know who's here, but I hope that you're enjoying this. I hope that you're enjoying this. This is just the way I work. And just because I put these down does not mean that I'm even that I consider this page finished either. I thought it had needed a little more border, and I use a lot of, this is a quilt magazine, and I just like it for the color, so I'm just going to cut strips of it. I like that it kind of matched the color of that napkin that got put down. So oops. Oh, my fingernails don't want to work today. Oh, my fingernails don't want to work today. That, and it seems like it's very static. There's a lot of static electricity apparently. I think it's Tisha Moore that she does a lot of borders on her page. She does a lot of borders on her page. And I really liked that when I first started art journaling and watching her videos. She seemed to have a lot of interesting things that I enjoyed. The borders on the pages, things like that. Things like that. Doesn't mean you have to do it. It just means that they're just interesting to me. And I don't always put the borders all the way around, but I do kind of like them. So, oh, that's a tiny little piece. We'll cut it, but I don't know that it'll get used. So okay. Okay. Okay, threw that piece on the floor. Hi, Susan. I'm sorry. I don't know how long you've been there. I apologize. I was concentrating. I'm just doing a little. I'm just working on my art journals today. Doing a little of this and a little of that. I haven't done very much in these for a while, and I've started doing more. And I don't know if you've watched me before, but I keep 2 or 3 books going at a time because I don't like to do the heated dryer. So I work in sort of layers. Um, but I think this one's ready to stick stuff down, which means I need some wax paper. Um, and I only need wax paper because it's close to the edge. Oh, Susan, I'm glad that you came. If this is the first time you've come to my channel, this was sort of an impromptu live because I'm still trying to work out some details. I've had some real technology issues this last couple weeks. The computer, which is only 10 months old, crashed and burned 2 weeks ago. Luckily, the guys at the tech shop retrieved it for me. And so I have been fighting with those issues for a while. I use a mixture of Mod Podge and just a tiny bit of water. And like I will work in layers. And if you're able to stick around, I've been trying to plan my live streams where I will actually work through until I actually work on a page that's more finished towards the end. I'll work on this one with this layer, and I'll work on the other one with the next layer. And then I'll set it aside to dry because all of this that's down already is dried. This was a napkin. This is, I start with these books as sort of as desk journals, and they're kind of like glue books. So, yeah. Oh no, it's right. When I got it back, the guys, they were afraid it was a motherboard, which really was not making me happy. But when I got it back, it was not as bad an issue as they were afraid of. However, I was told not to move my computer. Okay, it's a laptop. I'm not supposed to move it around when it's turned on. If it dies again like this, I'm going to have a new battery, which that's not that big a deal. But getting the battery out was a big deal. Hi, Margie. Hello. I don't think you've been to one of my lives before either, have you? Anyways, he said if it does it again, I'm going to have a new battery. Well, hi, Margie. I'm Tanya. Susan is new too. So I'm just working on some of my art journals today. I work in layers in several books at a time. So in layers in several books at a time. So I'm just doing some collage stuff right now. I was telling Susan I've had technology issues this last couple weeks. After I got it back, though, my camera software updated, and now none of my editing software and all that stuff is working. So I haven't been able to make videos, and it's just been irritating. Of course, I'm easily irritated too. Susan, the first thing I did was to change the outlet to see if the outlet was bad. Our house is not new, and I thought, okay, I'll take it to the other room and check it. Well, that wasn't it. The second thing you always do with electronics is try to take the battery out. I got online. I couldn't even figure out how to get the battery out. I took the back of it off and I looked at it and I thought, nope, I'm not touching this. The battery on my computer has to come out through the keyboard. So that was not going to happen. Not going to happen. So that's sticky. But mine wouldn't turn on even plugged in. I usually use it plugged in because if I'm doing videos or anything like that, there's too much. It's too dark. I like to be able to see better. So. What kinds of things do you do, Susie and Margie? Do you art journal? Do you junk journal? Okay. And Margie, I'm not sure you were here. I use a mixture of Podge. I'm not supposed to say Modge. I'm supposed to say Mod. Podge. And tiny bit of water. So like just a little bit of water in a couple cups of Mod Podge. I happen to like that it's watered down a little bit. It's a little thick for my taste when it's not. If I had my druthers, I would just use matte medium, but matte medium can be pricey. So Susan, you're kind of like me. All of it. Susan, you're kind of like me. All of it. Then you can plan and plan and plan, and then when you lay it down, I'm not a professional in any way at this. I make beads for a living. I make glass beads, and I do it for my job. I certainly wouldn't want to have to live on it. But I've been lucky in that my husband worked for the federal government, and when what I was doing in the school system, which was working in a behavior room, where we actually had what's called a rage room. When I just couldn't do it anymore, and I said I wanted to try making beads for a living. Okay, it's stuck, so that's the way it's going to be. He said, fine, go ahead. And it let me do what I wanted to do, which was really, okay, there we go. So I make glass beads, means I get to play with a torch. The biggest thing is, Margie, if you're not careful, it becomes an obsession. For ages I didn't do anything else. Now here lately, because you have it's a job for me now. So because it is a job for me now, it has gotten where it's not always as much fun. So, but Margie, if you ever get a chance, try it because uh, it's you have to like fire though. I will tell you that you do have to like fire. You have to be a little bit part pyromaniac to play with a torch every day. Uh, we have an RV, and well, sort of have an RV. Our RV was in an accident. We were in an accident, and we haven't had it for a while. But um, the uh, RV has a studio in it so that I can make beads when we travel. So, Susan, I made the comment that I have been sewing since I was 4 the other day, and a bunch of people were just surprised at that. But I've done stuff forever. Now then, see, that's as far as I will take this page today. Well, at least for right now, because I want it to dry, and so I will set it aside because I don't like the heat tool. I do pull these out, and then I will set it up here in front of me, just like I did the glue book that I was doing earlier. And one of the things I'll tell you about Mod Podge and Water, this is apparently water soluble, and if you look, it picked up some of the color. So you have to be prepared for that and not worry about it. Pardon my head. So, but Margie, as far as making glass beads, I love it. I really do. It's fun to do. Um, it's sometimes it's a little stressful, but as a job, I spend a lot of time marketing beads. So that's not a fun part. Making them is fun. I also don't like cleaning them real well. But now this page is even, oops, I guess I should have done this one first. This one's even less advanced than the one I just finished. The one I just finished had some other collage bits on it, and I knew where it was kind of where it's headed. Or at least for the moment, I kind of know where it's headed. This one is just kind of building up the layers, and I haven't gotten very far with it yet. Just a second, I have to get rid of a couple of pieces of. When I do a live stream, I end up with stuff everywhere. I don't know if everybody does that or not, but so anyways, this one, it's just had some paint splashed on it. Usually whatever's on my brush to brush out the paint. And I've been doing some doodles on book pages, so I'm going to take some of this book page stuff and do another little bit of background. It'll give me texture and background on it, and so that's where I'm headed with this one today. And this is probably the step before what you just watched. So and I probably won't throw these pieces of book page away. I will stick them in my scrap bin and stick them in my glue book, which someday may turn into an art journal. And then the layers, it'll be ready for more advanced layers already. So somewhere I had another little piece that's disappeared. Oh, and you saw me take out the wax paper. If you're not, I put that in there. If you're new to this, I don't know how new. Um, uh, it's I use the wax paper to keep things from sticking this to the back page behind it, but I also use a lot of freezer paper. Freezer paper is really good. There's my other little piece that I tore out already. Freezer paper, I like freezer paper a lot because it doesn't stick to stuff at all. So, and I do usually tear most things. Sometimes I use the cutter. A torn edge will stick down, just not necessarily stick down, but it will give you a different kind of texture than a cut edge when you're working on an art journal page, especially if you write on them afterwards. And these journals I do write on. When I finish the journal up, I will actually journal in them. Oh, yes, they're real good for ATCs. I'm curious, Susan and Margie, how'd you find me? I'm just curious. I didn't stamp them. And if you came over from Mary's channel, I know what you're talking about, tatting. I actually just doodle. Here, I'll show you. Tatting is I totally understand what you're talking about, but most of these are just big doodles. Here, I'll set that over there. I use these Micron, whoops, Micron Pigma pens. This happens to be a 08, which is a pretty thick pen tip. The reason I like these is they don't bleed. You can put them on. We may have been on Mary's live easily, Susan. Anyways, they don't bleed, so you can put them on copy paper even. And these are just what I call doodles. So the tatting like Mary does, they're a little more intricate doodles. Is in my opinion, she does beautiful intricate doodles. Somebody, Janet, and I don't know Janet's last name. She's in Aunt Beck's Facebook group. I know that, and she does a lot of she's a mod for a lot of people. Thanks, Margie. Yeah. Anyways, Janet did some beautiful tatting today. Well, I don't know if it was today, but I think I saw it today, posted in the Facebook group. Okay, both of Susan and Margie, you know that I have a subby giveaway going right now, right? I hope you know it. I haven't been there and written down all the names again. I've been keeping track of who's commented and things like that. So, because we've only got another week. Yeah, I love watching Mary. Yeah. She's on tonight. And that's been part of my problem with doing lives is I really don't want to do lives on the days when, at the times when somebody else is doing a live. And you know, kind of, I don't know if that's stepping on somebody's toes, but it to me, it just seems like it's, I want to be able to watch them and instead of doing my own live. So, okay, the subby giveaway. If you're one of my subs, there is a video, Margie. You'll have to run down. It says giveaway right on the video. And what you have to do is you have to comment. Or if you watch the video, there's a bunch of other ways to get entered so that you can get more than one entry into the giveaway. And I'm giving away a stamp set. Is it here? Okay, it's gone to the other side of the studio, I guess. I'll be right back. No. It has to be right here. I have to tell you that with as many computer problems as I've had this week. Okay, you just have to go find the video, Margie. With as many computer problems as I have had, I've had a mess in here, just a mess. Yeah, Susan, do you make videos? I will have to check your channel out later. Anyways, Margie, there's a video and it tells you how to enter, and you have until the end of next week, which is the 30th of June, to get your entries in. Because if you make a video response of the postcard that I've asked if you'll send me, things like that, I give you extra entries, extra ways to get in the entered into the bowl. I have a bowl. Thanks, Margie. Well, Margie, I wish you'd been right here when my computer crashed last week. However, all of the YouTubers that I've talked to use this software called OBS software. It's just open source broadcast. It's free. I can't make it work. I cannot make it work. Everybody says it's perfect, and I think it's a conflict because I have a dedicated graphics card, and there's settings, but it's not fine. It's not letting it work. So it just irritated me so much that I just set it aside and said that's the end of it. I'm not going to mess with it till probably until we get a very hard freeze. So, ooh, 2 weeks. Oof. The guys that fixed they did a battery reset, Margie, and he figured that what happened was we've had a lot of storms. We get a lot of thunderstorms, lightning, lots of lightning. I think it rained like 3 inches in 15 minutes here the other day. Anyways, the guy that fixed it figured that it was drop, a surge in power. It didn't make the power go out, but the power surged, and when it did, it made my battery basically seize up and say, I'm not going to work. But to get to the battery, they had to take the keyboard out and everything. So it wasn't a pleasant job. I didn't care because it wasn't my hard drive or motherboard. It was my motherboard I was afraid of. That's what they were afraid of. Now see, I'll probably put more paint and more stuff over the top of this. But right now, it's just giving me another layer. And I may come back in with something else to layer over it, because right now I don't like it. So, it's not enough or something. It takes a while to layer up a page like this. To me, it's just one of those things that sometimes I work and work. I did one on a live the other day, and I'm going to paint right over it. Well, thanks, Margie. It probably would be okay once I started getting into it, but I probably will paint over it a little bit just because they look a little stark in there. Put a little stencil over it or something like that. And I leave a lot of blank space because I write. These are to write in after the fact. When I call the journal done, I'll do a flip. Now that I do videos, because I've only been doing videos since January. And I'll do a flip of this, and then I'll set it aside to write in. So need something right here. I think. Just adding the book pages pieces works too. It's just about getting some layers. Here we go. Of stuff. I do not make my own Mod Podge. I bought it's probably a half gallon at Joann's. I use enough of it that I bought this half gallon, and I only have about that much left in the bottom of it, and it's not a year old. I do water it down just a touch. Oh, it's Susan that said that. I water it down. This container, see, it's about half full. It's about up to there. Okay, you can't see it. It's about 1.5 inches. So I'd say there's a 1.5 cups or so of gesso, and I put about 3 tablespoons of water in it. And I happen to like that mixture because it's just a little bit thinner. And while it will wrinkle pages some, it doesn't seem to make them so bad that I can't stand it, and it usually dries out. Now then, that's wanting to close back on there. So this is a piece of freezer wrap. So I'm just going to stick this in there very lightly so it doesn't. Now I'm not going to do it. Yeah, I am. I'll just stick that in there and set it aside. There we go. But because I use so much Mod Podge, if you use a coupon at Joann's and watch, I got it very reasonably by buying the great big container. So as far as gesso goes, I just, there again, I use coupons at Michael's and Joann's. So no, I don't make my own. So, now, this is the third one of the books, and I happen to like this kind of square but then landscaped format, so I made the books. And since you guys are new, somebody else asked me a last live. Okay. These are just all kinds of papers. This actually happens to be a piece of cardstock that back when my son, who is 27, was little, we used to play with shaving cream a lot. We were living down here in the Panhandle, Florida, and sometimes it just, like today, it's too hot to send your kid outside to play for very long because they can get heat stroke just as bad as an adult can working out there. So when he was little, it's too hot to send your kid outside to play for very